I should warn you, Indigenous viewers, this video does contain obviously images of deceased people.
All those talking politicians.
Also in World Business Report, you've heard of the silver surfer. Well, now make way for the silver entrepreneur. We will explain.
First, though, we turn to events in Turkey, where in the last few hours demonstrators have clashed with police. Water cannon and tear gas have been used to control the crowds. Mosques, universities and shops are being turned into makeshift hospitals to deal with the injured. The Interior Minister said that 1,700 people have been detained in the nationwide unrest. Katerina Moe has more. Countries across Central Europe are reinforcing their flood defences as swollen rivers threaten to burst their banks. At least 3 people are feared dead. Rob Cameron, our correspondent, is in Prague for us at the moment. Now, Rob, I understand that we're not quite seeing the peak yet of these river levels. When should we expect to see them? Tell us about the area you're in. Are people accustomed to floods like this? Is this a common occurrence? I managed to pay a visit to Prague, but from friends who have been, and from what I understand, there's some amazing architecture there, amazing sites. This must be a concern for the authorities protecting these buildings. Just want to bring you some breaking news now. Chinese state media is reporting a fire in a slaughterhouse in the northeastern province of Jilin. We're going to talk to Sally now about what's coming up in World Business Report. Sally, we're going to keep on top of happening at that slaughterhouse, but looking overall at the Chinese economy. Lots going on. Look forward to it, Sally. Thank you. The US soldier accused of causing America's worst ever national security breach goes on trial later. Bradley Manning is accused of leaking hundreds of thousands of classified government documents to the website WikiLeaks. Well, he's pleaded guilty to several offences, including breaches of military discipline, but denies the most serious charge, that of knowingly aiding the enemy. Do stay with us on BBC News. There's plenty to come, including cashing in on Banksy, why a piece of graffiti could fetch more than $1 million. Time to take a look at some of the news from around the UK now. You're watching BBC World News. I'm Naga Munchetty. Here are the latest headlines. In 4 weeks, Croatia will become the 28th member state of the European Union. It's the first of the main protagonists from the Balkan Wars of the 1990s to join the EU. Bosnia and Serbia remain quite a few years away from membership. Well, our Europe correspondent Chris Morris sent this report from Croatia. One of Australia's best-known Aboriginal musicians has died at the age of 56. Mandawoy Yunupingu had been fighting renal disease and passed away at his home in the Northern Territory. Here's a bit of his music. I should warn you, Indigenous viewers, this video does contain obviously images of deceased people.
All those talking politicians.
Well, Farhana Dawood is here to tell us more about the significance of his life to Australians. And he really was significant, wasn't he?
Absolutely. He was seen as a great bridge builder between Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal Australians. His band, Yothu Yindi, was huge. They took Aboriginal Indigenous music across the globe. They toured Europe, they toured Canada, they toured the United States. They performed with such great artists like Neil Young. They played at the closing ceremony in the Sydney 2000 Olympic Games. Now, the man himself, he won the Australian of the Year award in 1992, in part for his work in bridging that gap between Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal Australians. He was all about bridge building, and that's why his loss is so greatly felt across the whole of Australia. He was also a truly unique individual. He was the first Indigenous person from Arnhem Land, which is in far remote northern Australia, to actually receive a university degree. He also went on to become the country's first Aboriginal school principal. And he stayed at that job until he left to pursue music full-time in the early 90s.
I must ask, 56, it seems very young.
Well, it does seem young when you think about the life expectancy across Australia. However, if you think about Indigenous Australians, that unfortunately is quite a good innings. Indigenous Australians have in general about 17 years shorter life expectancy than other Australians. They generally do die of kidney and heart disease and respiratory issues. So the age of 56 is quite good.
And we must apologise to some of our Indigenous viewers because we did show images of deceased people which can be seen as offensive to Indigenous viewers. But there are lots of cultural sensitivities that we need to be mindful of, even just when it comes to talking about this gentleman's name.
Indeed,
or mentioning his name.
Indeed. That's because Indigenous Australians believe that the spirit is still present in the name of the deceased or in the image of the deceased. So, indeed, it was very good that we gave that warning to our viewers.
OK, Farhana, thanks very much. Thanks for bringing us up to date, giving us some background as well. Now, for nearly a year, you could see it at the side of a shop in North London. I'm talking about an image of a boy hunched over a sewing machine. Now, this has been attributed to the elusive street artist Banksy. The artwork, though, suddenly disappeared, and months later, it turned up for auction, but was withdrawn because of public outcry. It's not the end of the story. This is now at auction for a second time. This time, the price has rocketed. Our arts correspondent, Will Gompertz, explains. Let's bring you an update on the sports news. In football, Chelsea is expected to announce that Jose Mourinho will be the team's new manager. That's supposed to happen this week. It's understood he arrived in London, and the English Premier League website did accidentally post a story on its page before promptly removing it. Well, the website had confirmed Jose Mourinho's return to Chelsea, saying that the Portuguese coach is back at Stamford Bridge. The story was dated for Monday, but released a day early before it was taken down. Mourinho himself told a Spanish television programme that he was heading to Chelsea after Real Madrid defeated Osasuna on 4-2 on Saturday in his final match in charge at the Bernabeu. Golf now, and American Matt Kuchar has become the only double winner on the PGA Tour this season, apart from Tiger Woods, after taking the Memorial Tournament in Ohio by 2 shots. Cooch, as he's known by players, only needed to par the last for the win. Instead, he managed to birdie it. That's a victory in style. The Memorial Tournament remains one of the most prestigious titles on tour. It's hosted by the great golfer Jack Nicklaus. Angelina Jolie has appeared in public for the first time since revealing that she had a double mastectomy to reduce her risk of breast cancer. She was in London to support her partner Brad Pitt at the premiere of his latest film. She said that she'd been very moved by the support she'd received. Quick recap on some breaking news now. Chinese state media is saying that at least 43 people have been killed in a fire at a slaughterhouse in the east of the country. It happened at a poultry processing plant in the city of Dehui in Jilin province. It's thought that an electrical problem started the fire. As we get more information, of course, we shall bring it to you. Sally's up next with World Business Report, and now it's time to get the weather where you are. See you soon.